when my disabled wife's van was towed by our overzealous HOA president for not joining their mandatory association, she unleashed her secret weapon, her connections from 15 years as a K-9 officer. What would Margaret do when she realized she'd picked a fight with the wrong family? The doorbell rang just as I was helping Laura transfer from her wheelchair to the couch. We've been in our new house at Maple Grove for exactly 3 days. Can you get that? Laura asked, adjusting her leg braces. After 15 years as a K-9 officer, a pursuit gone wrong had left her with partial mobility, but my wife was still the toughest person I knew. I opened the door to find a woman with flawless auburn hair holding a clipboard. 2 men in polo shirts stood behind her like sentinels. Welcome to the neighborhood. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I'm Margaret Collins, president of the Maple Grove Homeowners Association. We're here with your welcome packet and first month's dues. I scratched my head. That's strange. Our realtor said this property was exempt from the HOA. It's in our closing documents. Margaret's smile vanished. There must be a mistake. Every home in Maple Grove belongs to our association. It's mandatory, not according to our paperwork. This lot was developed before the HOA existed. We have grandfathered rights. Her eyes narrowed. We'll need to see these so-called documents. The board meeting is Wednesday at 7 p.m. Bring them then. She thrust a thick folder into my hands. In the meantime, here are our guidelines. You'll need to remove that ramp by your side door. It doesn't meet our aesthetic standards. My face grew hot. That ramp is for my wife. She's disabled and needs it to enter the house. Rules are rules, Margaret said with a shrug. You can apply for a variance, but the committee only meets quarterly. Next meeting's in August. From inside, Laura called, "Who is it, Tom?" "Just the HOA introducing themselves." I answered, keeping my voice steady. Margaret peered past me, spotting Laura on the couch. Something flickered across her face, not empathy, but calculation. Your situation doesn't exempt you from community standards. We pride ourselves on uniformity here. Thanks for stopping by, I said firmly, starting to close the door. Margaret stuck her foot in the doorway. One more thing. Your wife's van with those service dog stickers? It needs to be garaged. No commercial vehicles in driveways overnight. It's not commercial. It's equipped for her wheelchair. It has advertising on it, she insisted. It has a K-9 support decal because she was a police officer. Margaret withdrew her foot. The rules apply to everyone, Mr. Carter. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Don't be late. I shut the door, my hands trembling with anger. What was that about? Laura asked as I returned to the living room. I handed her the folder. We've met the local tyrant. She says our house is part of their HOA and wants us to take down your ramp. Laura flipped through the guidelines, her expression darkening. 56 pages of rules. Maximum grass height of 2 inches. No flags except on approved holidays. This is absurd. She also says your van can't be in the driveway because of the K-9 decal. Laura slammed the folder shut. That's not legal. The ADA clearly states. I know, I said, sitting beside her. We'll fight this. I kept all our closing documents in the fireproof safe. We spent the evening reviewing them, and sure enough, our property was explicitly excluded from the HOA's jurisdiction. Our home had been built a decade before Maple Grove was even named. The next morning, I left for work at my usual time. Laura had physical therapy at 10, so she'd be leaving later. I kissed her goodbye, never suspecting the war that was about to erupt. At lunch, my phone rang. Laura's voice was tight with fury. They put a boot on my van. What? Who did? Your new friend Margaret and some towing company. I can't get to my therapy appointment. I left work immediately and raced home. When I arrived, Laura was arguing with a man in a tow truck uniform while Margaret watched from her porch across the street. This is illegal, Laura was saying, her wheelchair positioned to block the driver from approaching further. You can't tow a vehicle from private property without proper authorization. Ma'am, I have authorization right here, the driver said, waving a form signed by the HOA president for violation of community standards. I approached quickly. This property isn't part of the HOA. You have no jurisdiction here. Not my problem, the driver shrugged. I just go where they send me. Margaret crossed the street, a smug smile on her face. Perhaps this will motivate you to attend Wednesday's meeting. Consider it a warning. Next time, your vehicle will be impounded. Laura's eyes flashed dangerously. Few people knew that beneath her calm exterior was a woman who had taken down armed suspects and commanded respect throughout her career. "Remove this boot now," she said quietly, "or I make one phone call to my former captain, and you'll have 5 patrol cars here in minutes investigating an attempted theft." The driver looked uncertainly between Laura and Margaret. "She's bluffing," Margaret said dismissively. Laura pulled out her phone, showing her police badge wallpaper. "Try me." 15 minutes and one heated phone call later, the boot was removed. A patrol officer, Laura's former rookie, arrived to check on the situation. Margaret retreated to her house, but the battle lines were drawn. That night, I installed security cameras around our property. Laura contacted her lawyer friend who specialized in housing discrimination. We were preparing for war, but we didn't realize how quickly it would escalate. Over the next day, Margaret rallied her forces. Neighbors accidentally blocked our driveway. Anonymous complaints were filed with the city about our unsightly ramp. Someone even reported our sprinkler system for violating water restrictions, triggering an inspection. "They're trying to wear us down," Laura observed as we watched through the window, while Margaret led a group of neighbors on a property value walk that stopped conspicuously in front of our house. "What do they want? For us to move?" "No," Laura said thoughtfully. "Margaret wants control, and there's something else going on here. Did you notice how quickly that tow truck showed up? I bet there's a kickback arrangement." "What's our next move?" I asked. Laura's expression hardened. "We gather evidence, build allies, and prepare for Wednesday's meeting." We spent the evening researching Margaret Collins. Laura's police contact provided intriguing information. 3 prior complaints about HOA overreach, all mysteriously dropped. Property records showed Margaret owned a rental house in the next county with the same towing company sign prominently displayed. "This isn't just about us," Laura realized. "She's built a little empire here, and we're threatening it." Wednesday arrived with an unexpected twist. I returned home from work to find our driveway empty. Laura's specially equipped van was gone. My heart pounded as I called her cell repeatedly, getting no answer. Just as panic set in, my phone rang with an unknown number. "Tom, it's me." Laura's voice sounded strained. "Where are you? What happened?" "They towed my van while I was at physical therapy. I'm at Swift Recovery Impound on Industrial Boulevard. They want $450 to release it, claiming the HOA authorized the removal for a commercial vehicle violation. I called Captain Martinez, but he's in court all afternoon. Can you come get me?" "I'm on my way," I said, already heading to my car. "Hang tight." As I drove, fury built inside me. This wasn't just an inconvenience or a power play anymore. This was targeting Laura's independence and mobility. Margaret had crossed a line, and she was about to learn why that was a grave mistake. The impound lot was surrounded by a chain-link fence topped with barbed wire. Laura waited outside the office in her wheelchair, her face tight with anger and humiliation. When she saw me, she tried to smile, but I could tell she was fighting back tears. "I've been here for 2 hours, she said as I knelt beside her. "The manager says they can't release the van without payment, even after I explained it's my mobility vehicle." I squeezed her hand. "We'll pay it, then fight this legally." "Did you get any paperwork?" Laura handed me a form authorized by Margaret Collins for a commercial vehicle violation because of her K-9 support decal. She's claiming it's advertising. Inside the office, a board attendant barely looked up. $450 to release. Cash or credit. Additional $50 after 24 hours. "This vehicle is specially equipped for a disabled person," I explained. "Towing it is against federal law." He shrugged. "Take it up with the HOA. I just processed the paperwork." I paid the fee, seething. When we reached Laura's van, I noticed a new scratch along the wheelchair ramp. Laura saw it too and went silent. The controlled, quiet her former colleagues called her storm warning. "Take pictures of everything," she instructed. "Every scratch, the paper worth a lot. We're building our case." On the drive home, Laura made calls. first to her lawyer friend, then to former police colleagues, and finally to a local news reporter who had covered her K-9 unit's achievements years ago. Jessica, Laura Carter here. Remember that story you wanted to do on housing discrimination against first responders? I think I've got something for you. By the time we pulled into our driveway, Laura had arranged for a news crew to meet us at the HOA meeting. As we approached our house, we noticed something new. Small American flags planted along our property line. What's this? I wondered. Our next-door neighbor, an older man named George, waved from his porch. Heard what happened with Margaret in your van. Those flags mark the original property line from before the development. I've lived here 30 years. Your lot was never part of their precious HOA. Laura smiled, her first real smile of the day. Thank you, George. Been waiting for someone to stand up to that woman, he admitted. Most folks are too scared. She got the Lopez family evicted last year over a dispute about their catering van. Inside, we prepared for battle. Laura changed into her formal police uniform, the one she'd worn for commendation ceremonies. Though retired, she was still legally allowed to wear it for certain functions. She pinned her medals and badges carefully, then added her service photo with her K-9 partner, Duke, to her wheelchair pouch. Psychological warfare, she explained when she caught my questioning look. Margaret wants to shame us. I'm going to remind everyone who they're really dealing with. The HOA meeting was held in the community clubhouse, a building with a single small ramp hidden around back. When we arrived, Laura immediately noted the ADA violations. Front entrance must be accessible, she murmured, taking photos. Strike one. Inside, about 30 neighbors sat in neat rows facing a long table where Margaret and 4 board members presided. A sign-in sheet circulated, which Laura photographed before signing. Non-compliant homeowners will have 2 minutes to present their case, Margaret announced, not looking up as we entered. Board decisions are final. She faltered when she noticed Laura in full uniform. Whispers rippled through the room. Officer Carter, Margaret recovered quickly. You're out of order. We haven't called your case yet. Actually, came a voice from the doorway. I believe they're right on time. Heads turned as Captain Martinez entered in uniform, followed by 2 other officers and a woman with a press badge. Margaret's face flushed. This is a private meeting. Media is not allowed. Public meeting in a public space. The reporter, Jessica, replied cheerfully. HOA meetings in this state fall under open meeting laws when they involve governance decisions. Laura positioned her wheelchair at the center aisle. We're here to resolve several issues, Margaret. First, the illegal towing of my ADA-compliant vehicle. Second, the harassment regarding our property, which documents prove is exempt from your HOA. Margaret's knuckles whitened around her gavel. We have no record of any exemption. I stepped forward, placing our paperwork on the table. Original deed, 1978. Property survey from 2003. Title insurance documents specifically noting HOA exemption. I slid forward a final paper, and a cease and desist letter from our attorney regarding ADA violations. Captain Martinez stepped forward. We're also investigating a pattern of selective enforcement and possible kickback arrangements with swift recovery towing. Several residents have now filed complaints. The room erupted in murmurs. A woman stood up nervously. They towed my daughter's car last month because her college sticker counted as signage. Cost me $400 to get it back. Another resident joined in. They cited me for a mailbox that was supposedly an inch too wide. Margaret banged her gavel repeatedly. Order. These complaints are not on tonight's agenda. I moved to add them, said a board member, an older woman who had been watching with growing concern. And I move we review the towing company contract, specifically the portion that pays for Margaret's rental property maintenance. Margaret's face went pale. Ellen, that's completely inappropriate. Is it? Ellen shuffled some papers. Because I've been reviewing the financial records as treasurer, and there are several payments to Collins Property Services registered to your cousin's address. The room went silent. I think, Laura said into the quiet, we've identified the real problem, and it's not my K-9 support decal. Jessica's photographer captured Margaret's expression perfectly as Captain Martinez stepped forward. "Ms. Collins, we'd like you to come to the station to answer questions about possible misappropriation of funds." As Margaret was escorted out, still protesting, the remaining board members voted to recognize our property's exemption, refund our towing fees, and launch an audit of all HOA finances. Outside, neighbors gathered around Laura, sharing their own HOA horror stories. George brought us a celebratory bottle of wine. "You've changed everything," he said. "People have been afraid to speak up for years." Laura looked thoughtful. "This isn't over. HOAs serve a purpose when run properly. The problem was corruption, not the concept." "What do you mean?" I asked. She smiled, that look that always meant she was forming a plan. "I think I might run for the board. Someone needs to ensure this doesn't happen again." As we drove home, Laura's phone rang. It was Jessica from a news station. "This story's catching fire," she said excitedly. "I've had 3 other HOAs in the county reach out with similar complaints. How would you feel about a larger investigation? With your law enforcement background, you'd be the perfect consultant." Laura caught my eye, raising an eyebrow. I smiled. "Sounds like retirement just got more interesting." "I'm in," Laura told Jessica. "On one condition, we focus on solutions, not just exposing problems." After hanging up, Laura gazed out the window at her neighborhood. "You know what this means, right? That Margaret picked the wrong person to mess with." "That, yes," Laura laughed, "but also that we need to get ready. Once this story breaks, people from all over will need help with similar situations." "Good thing I married a fighter," I said, reaching for her hand. "Good thing I married someone who knows when to pay the towing fee and when to call for backup," she replied, squeezing my fingers. "Now, let's plan our next move."